I see why. I think because I'm the host, I am the guy.
Well, it says, say,
But why is it the wrong camera? Up there.
oh.
I can see you guys on the meeting
Oh,
cam.
thank you. You're so good. So how do you do it? Spotlight, this one?
Gone now.
Oh, you're so smart.
But Joel is not coming through system.
Can you guys hear me?
Hold on. Try it again, Joel. You on this side? Yeah. Try it again, Joel.
Can you guys hear me now? Hello, hello. No? I can hear you good.
Joel, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Joel, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you really loud and clear. Can you hear
I
me?
can't hear you though.
Okay.
Oh, now we can hear you.
You can hear me now? A little reverb. Is that better? I can't hear you now.
Okay, can you hear us now, Joel?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, 1 second. I need to make sure. No, I don't want to record the cloud. Don't need to record the cloud, please. Oh, that's right. I'm still hungry. All right. Welcome to the Paideia Academy's corporate board meeting in May 18th, 2027. Mrs. Rodriguez, would you take roll, please?
Yes, Dr. Oh, what time is it? 5:10. Dr. Windsor,
Present.
Mrs. Jones,
Present.
Mrs. Rodriguez, present, Mrs. Chu, not here, Dr. Sheehan,
Here.
Mrs. Holbert, and Ms. Reed.
All right, we have quorum day. All right, first item is to approve the previous minutes of March 23rd, 2026. That should be in your packets. Oh, it's at the bottom.
Yeah, thank you.
A motion by Mr. Tejan, Dr. Tejan, sorry, Mr. I know, but you paid a lot of, you were smart.
I'll second.
All in favor? Or do I do a motion?
You don't, yeah, what's the,
All in favor, say aye.
I. Appears to be unanimous, minus Mrs. Chu. We always want no cake at 110. I did receive one call to the public. She is not here. I referred her back to you as the executive director on the issue she brought up to me. Okay, you might want to just. Item number 4. What is this? Copy one, please.
Okay. Okay.
I think the second one is right.
One of them I started copying and it was just doing like page 1 and page 2. So I thought I threw those away. That might have been.
Okay, anyways, right?
It's my story. Exactly.
Yes.
Does everybody have a good
You
one?
want the good one?
I got wondering if I grabbed a few minutes.
I do not have a good one. But I think I made enough of them. So they have another good one.
The,
Yeah.
there was 2 and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They go around with it.
you can have that one.
Make it, okay.
Let's have this. Big ones.
I take notes on this.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, executive report. On our executive report today, we will go through the Mrs. Jones report in that you have gone through all of our handbooks and policies. And what is your finding?
We reviewed our financial policies handbook, our SOP, standard operations procedure manual, our parent handbook. There were some minor edits, but too minor to require any board action. There were just some minor fixes in each of those documents. So,
Yes, hallelujah. The next is our single audit reporting package. And I will report on the LCQ part, the legal questionnaire, a compliance questionnaire. It starts towards way in the back at page 29. And this is important to us because our fiduciary responsibility of operations of our school that are audited. So if you look on page, it's after page 28. So we're going to go on to page 2, 3, 4. Now we're in the very back part of page 3 is where it starts. So if you ever want to know all the different compliance areas that we're responsible for, this is the questionnaire that every year we fill out. So under personnel, all of yeses or does not apply. All of our IRS required filings are all yeses, meaning that we meet the standard. On special education, all of them hit on the yes, that we're in compliance. Student attendance reporting, every year we normally have something. I think last year we had no last year. This year, unfortunately, we continue on to page number 7 and 8. On number 10, you see that based upon 10 random entries that they brought out, one of the students' name in our SIS system didn't perfectly legally match on the enrollment packet that the parent filled out. So we got that one.
Is there a place to put 9 out of 10?
And then, if you look down page number 11 on, letter C, did the school obtain and maintain verifiable documentation of residency upon enrollment? And, apparently that is so difficult to do it, and we missed on one of those. But two ends on this big of a questionnaire, and I reviewed these with Sedna, the systems are in place. It's just sometimes, like that year, I missed uploading the board minutes, June. So other than that, I mean, I'm very, very proud of our audit. We have a system, an operational system. I think that it just breathes on its own. It goes. I'm very happy to report that. All right, Joel will go over the financial part of the audit.
If you can enable sharing, I will pull it up on the
Do
screen.
Oh, sorry.
I got it.
All right. Make this a little bit bigger. So we completed the financial audit for fiscal year 2025. It was called a single audit, or an A133 audit. It was due by the 31st of March, 9 months following the end of the fiscal year. The reason for that is the substantial focus on major federal programs that's required when you spend in this fiscal year 25 over $750,000 in federal funds, which we surpassed that. Going forward, that limit is now $1 million in federal expenditure to qualify for a single audit. And I still feel the combination of our three primary federal programs, Title I, IDEA, and National School Lunch Program, will more than likely keep us in that single audit threshold on the go forward. So with that, we'll jump in a brief overview of this. And as a note to the board, in the future, it certainly would be appropriate, if you choose, to request your auditor present this to you each year. So it's like completely independent, even of Concilium. But I have no problem going through it. It's kind of embodies the work that we've done, the auditors reviewed, and we've all agreed. Or they've not agreed and we've made changes, one of the two. So statement of financial position, or your balance sheet. As of the end of fiscal year 25, total cash and cash equivalents that were unrestricted, $4.539 million. Restricted cash held by the trustee, 734 and some change. That's almost entirely made up of the combination of the bond fund for the payment coming up on the 1st of July, but the majority of that is your repair and replacement fund. Based on prior capital needs assessments, they withhold a certain amount of money from each of our state equalization payments to fund a repair and replacement fund. We can use that for anything related to facilities improvements, maintenance, and repair, and even capital acquisition related to the facilities, should we choose to. So the goal over the next year or so is to continue to draw that fund down to as close to zero as possible, therefore converting restricted cash to unrestricted. Yes.
Make sure you tell what page you're on.
Oh, you can't see what I'm sharing?
It's so tiny.
I apologize. I'm on page, it says page 4. It's actually page 6 of the audit report if you flip by actual pages. Statement of financial position.
Isn't that 365 managed like TV?
Yeah, but it's not getting postponed anymore. I can make it bigger though. How about that? Sorry, Joel.
No worries. I didn't realize you guys couldn't see. I just jumped right in.
There we go. Okay, I see you now.
So 4.54 million in unrestricted liquidity or cash, like actual cash in the bank, 734,000 and some change in restricted cash. Most of that's R&R. We had a large receivable hanging out at the end of the year due from federal, or actually from state government agencies predominantly. This was a weird year in 25. We had 37% of our state equalization was withheld from the June payment. We received it on the 1st or 2nd of July. So that is one of the reasons it's a larger than normal outstanding receivable here. All of these funds have been fully received by the school at this time, so there's nothing left there. A little bit of inventory, property and equipment, net of accumulated depreciation, so about $18 million there. So total current assets, about $24 million, or total assets entirely, excuse me, Liabilities outstanding, current liabilities of 1.3 million, of which accounts payable is a nominal amount, 114,000. Accrued payroll, the way that contracts work, board members, is the teacher pay predominantly, and some of the admin pay is paid physically in the new fiscal year, but it's related to the prior fiscal year. So the pay dates that come at the very beginning of July, and for teachers, the second payroll in July, are pulled back into the prior fiscal year because that had already been fully earned, just not yet paid on a cash basis. That's what accrued payroll amounts to there. But if you look at your total cash position, just liquid cash that's unrestricted, 4.5 million, total current liabilities of 1.3 million. That's a phenomenal current ratio. Your balance sheet looks fantastic. Everyone would agree with that. Notes payable to the IDA for all outstanding indebtedness total about $16.87 million. So all told, we've got net assets of $5.787 million. It's positive equity in the private sector, positive net assets in the nonprofit world. Fantastic stuff. Statement of activities. Last year, we accounted for $10.48 million in total revenue, plus another $27,000 that was released from restriction from prior periods. So a total of $10.5 million in revenues, over $10.4 million in expenses, including depreciation and amortization. So positive net asset growth of $104,000 last year, including depreciation and amortization. If you back that out, it was $668,000, $667,000 in total of positive earnings on a cash basis. So fantastic stuff there. This is your functional expenses. It's the same information presented on the prior page, broken down by category, a little bit more user-friendly. You can see the breakdown of expenses and how they work between program, which is your instruction, student support, and teacher support, and then what portion is management in general, which is other forms of support, administration, facilities, and so on. These things total the same amounts. Statement of cash flows. This is your reconciliation of your statement of activities or your profit and loss to your balance sheet or your statement of financial position. And this accounts for the movement on the balance sheet to bring us into spec. So we know what changed on a cash basis side. So we grew cash by a total of, let's find it here. Where'd it go? Excuse me, we exchanged cash, $483,000 loss in cash from last year. If you recall, we had an outstanding receivable of 562, nope, where was it? Hold on, bear with me. I'm flipping through it. We had an outstanding receivable from the government of $564,000. That accounted for the entirety of the loss in cash. Otherwise, we would have maintained a very, very similar cash position dollar for dollar year over year. So last year was a minimally productive year. We didn't quite cover our fixed costs or debt service coverage as required by our bonds, but we did as required by our authorizer. We towed the line in dollars on cash, but we did lose some days in cash because the expenses grew. As is customary, year over year, things get more expensive. The rest of this financial report and the notes section is designed to provide color, backstory, and additional detail related to the numbers presented on the former pages. I think they're viewed as an inseparable part of the report, but it is a little bit dry for reading. So I'm going to skip through the majority of these and just point out a couple that are worthwhile. And I'll tell you what page we're going to be looking at here when I find it. So on page number 12, under note 2, cash, cash equivalents, and restricted cash, that spells out the balances in the bank, what was insured, uninsured, restricted, and unrestricted, what balances we were carrying in classroom site funds at the end of 25 that were in restricted cash, and then repair and replacement and bond fund proceeds are in there as well. So that totals your restricted cash there at the bottom of page number 12 of the report. It gives you some detail behind those numbers, which is helpful. And then note number 3, probably the most meaningful for the board in your situation, is the liquidity and availability thereof. So if you look at the next 12 months, what did the school have available to it as resources that it could use should it have a shortfall or a limiting of revenues coming in? So it takes into account all of your cash that's unrestricted, the receivable due from the government, which was entirely unrestricted, and any prepaid expenses that we had paid as of 6/30/25 that were then immediately utilized at the beginning of 26. So $5.2 million in available resources, other forms of liquidity. So really, really highly liquid against current obligations of $1.3 million. It tells the average reader that you've got an awful long runway should anything take a turn for the worse, which is excellent. The remainder of this report truly is now finite detail behind the larger categories of presentation on the balance sheet or statement of financial position and an explanation of your indebtedness. There's really nothing to see here. I think I'm going to skip all the way through, bear with me, to the financial audit on federal programs, or the A133 section here. This is a lengthy report. This is a schedule of your federal expenditures, totaled $1.5 million in all for fiscal year 2025. Based on these program selections, the auditors selected the major programs they would include for a highly detailed audit to make sure a number of things occurred, that we followed 2 CFR 100 in every regard, and that there were no expenses that were disallowed or questioned in the program, and then many other things related to internal controls and other bookkeeping apparatus. This right here is the auditor's findings. They've provided an opinion, which is an unmodified opinion. That's the highest form of opinion you can receive, similar to our financial audit, which was unqualified, meaning with no further qualification, these financials are presented fairly in all material respects. Same thing here on the federal side, no qualifications to the auditor's opinion, no material weaknesses identified or reported, no issues, again, unmodified. The highest form of opinion you can receive on the federal side. Great work to Ria and team in the office there. Excellent job. And then as far as the auditee's qualified risk profile, they qualified you as a low risk auditee, which is fantastic and not all that easy to do, to be honest with you. Usually it's medium to high, depending on the size of your programs. So good stuff. A clean audit, no financial findings of any kind, no further corrective action required. The legal compliance questionnaire noted a couple of areas that we can improve. Those are not findings in the audit, but more notes on compliance that we can work to address over time. So I would anticipate 0 corrective action requirements from your authorizer on this report. And I'll pause there and see if there's any questions from the board on the presentation of the single audit reporting package. Brian and Victoria, is there anything that you'd like me to cover in more detail?
No, I think it's good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
I think with the next Bill will go over our unaudited financial report for this year, ending April 30th, 2026.
Absolutely. All right. So the included financial report includes all activity through April 30th of 2026. It's about 90%, 95% complete. We haven't got a complete close on April, but what's left hanging out there is immaterial. So this is fair to present. We're doing good in comparison to our budget plan, but I would like to remind the board that our budget indicated a significant loss for the year, our first in the history of the time that I've worked with Paideia. And it's for factors that we know and are working on and we're not surprised by, but it is nonetheless a loss for our first time this year. So jumping in, last fiscal year, we produced debt service coverage of 1.12, which is below the 1.2 requirement of our loan agreement, but it is above the 1.10 requirement of our authorizer. So we kind of split the baby, so to speak, there, and are in the range of non-compliance on our loan agreement that we're required to retain an independent consultant to provide a report and recommendations, which we are in the process of working on right now. We anticipate that will be a moot point with the anticipated refinance of our current indebtedness into a new series, which I'll get into momentarily toward the end. So very high liquidity at the end of last year. This year, the budget revision on 427 that we did, kind of reconciling revenues and taking a look at expense trends, projects a debt service coverage of 0.71 times actual. That is well below the default level in our current loan agreement, indenture trust, and also below the requirement of our authorizer to produce at least 1.1 times our debt service coverage in earnings. So with that said, I anticipate subsequent to the successful refinancing of our indebtedness, This will not be a factor for our loan agreement indenture of trust requirement, but we will nonetheless be deficient with the requirements of our authorizer and in all likelihood have a minor financial intervention for the next year where we have to report quarterly to them until such time as our next completed audit shows improvement in performance above the minimum levels they require. Don't anticipate that being an issue based on two factors, which we're going to cover in more detail in a few more places here. One is the increased enrollment that we're projecting for next fiscal year, and also notably the restructure of our indebtedness in a 2026 series of bonds, which will give us another 2-year kind of runway to build back into enrollment based on reduction in overall debt service in those first 2 years. So those two things are an intrinsic part of our go-forward financial plan for 27 and beyond. And failing either one of those, we'll have to make some changes to what we plan to do expense-wise and otherwise. But right now, the budget for the current fiscal year projects that 0.71 debt service coverage and finishing the year with about 208 days cash on hand. Still highly liquid, very, very good balance sheet, just a very deficient year one time from a current year financial performance perspective. Statement of financial position. We'll see. I'm going to move this meeting control. Hold on one second. Total cash at the end of April, $5.363 million. I'm looking at the bottom of page 4 of the report against $5.873 million last year. The difference in cash, notably losses occurred year to date, as a primary driver of that. And in some movement of unrestricted funds into restricted funds through the receipt of state equalization. You'll note the change in the repair and replacement fund, $179,000 there. Across all restricted sources, we've extended our cash position there, $173,000. So that's kind of aiding into that decline in days cash is a factor of both the additional restriction as well as the overall reduction in cash and the increase in daily expenses. It's a combo effect of that. And that's why that cash number is so important. It's relative to the size of your budget, but still we're in very good shape there. Accounts receivable are down. The only thing hanging out there are minor grant funds that were received shortly thereafter. Everything else largely the same on the balance sheet. No other material changes. Accounts payable are up. This is kind of an anomaly. Usually 150 is about the norm. We had some projects and/or bills that came in, probably related to the upcoming fiscal year as we build things up that were not yet paid for at the end of April, but had been booked. Everything else is largely the same. What's that?
I need to pause for one moment because I'm live streaming to YouTube, but I'm muted. So I need to use this computer for sound.
Okay.
Be fine.
Let me know when you're ready to proceed.
Okay.
Oh, I hear you. Everything else on your balance sheet is nearly identical to last fiscal year. Any changes noted are just of the course of normal operations. The accrual of payroll this year is present, and it was not last year. We changed our payroll process this year and our payroll schedule this year to allow for more functional accrual. We're on a 24 pay cycle now versus a 26. So there are 2 identical pay periods each month. It's much easier to track accruals. Therefore, you have them at the end of this year versus last year. We booked them. No real reason. It's split the end of the month, and it was not something that was a habit back then. Debt-wise, very similar. I'll draw your attention to the bottom line here. Total equity or net assets, $5.5 million this year versus a little over $6 million last year. The decrease in net assets is almost entirely cash. And that's what's come off the balance sheet in the course of operations year to date. Statement of activities comparison. This year versus last year, $384,000 less in revenues. All of that coming up from the federal side. The largest impactor there was at the first quarter of last fiscal year, we drew down the remainder of our ESSER 3 funds. Those were one-time funds not to be repeated. Those we don't have access to this year. So our federal revenues have actually decreased by $465,000 this year, or approximately the amount of ESSER 3 funding that we drew down in the first quarter of last fiscal year. So everything else is actually a little bit better. But the federal hit is one that we knew was coming and that is definitely showing up there. On the expense side, we've increased expenses $255,821 and some change. Most of that coming from personal services or salaries, and the remainder coming from services and or supplies. So this situation with a reduction in revenues and an increase in expenses is what's causing the deficit this year in performance, and it's what we're working to rectify over the remainder of this fiscal year so that we're in good stead going into next fiscal year. And the plan is in place and executed currently. Statement of cash flows, we've increased our cash position by $88,000 since the start of the fiscal year. You might ask why? How can we increase our cash but lose cash overall? That large receivable hanging out at the end of last fiscal year plays a role in this too. So even though we've lost money year to date, much of which is showing up as cash, we did receive that receivable at the end of last fiscal year that was hanging out. So it kind of got us back to more or less even for a budget our size. Budget versus actual. Year to date, $33,000 deficit, if you will, on the revenue side, all of which is timing. The reduction that we see here against our budgeted plan is strictly timing on the state equalization side and classroom site fund side. It's related to Prop 123, charter additional assistance, and FRPL funds that are all one time. We'll receive them in June, and I just broke them down in the budget monthly instead of pacing it out like I probably should have. On the Fed side, this is timing of drawdowns. There's nothing to concern ourselves with there. That will be brought back, both of these, to zero by the end of the year. So we're going to be ahead of schedule on the local side. This is interest. That's driving the difference there. Predominantly, we've received more interest than we had budgeted. We've performed very well in our sweep accounts, and we'll continue to do so for the next few months at least. So that's a very positive thing. On the expense side, we have a net reduction of expenses against our plan of 125,000 and some change. This is due to predominantly payroll related items. These are positions that I think we had budgeted that we did not backfill when they were vacated or when they were never filled predominantly. And I would need to check and see specifically which positions, but the decrease of $158,000 on personnel services, that's absolutely what's driving that. The rest of these things are largely in line with your budget performance wise. Where there's a little bit of overage, those are largely timing related supplies in particular with timing. We'll get to zeros or even ahead of schedule on those by the end of the year. With all of that said, I feel that your budget is sound and an accurate predictor of where we'll finish the fiscal year worst case scenario. And there's a chance that we beat it slightly, but it's not going to get us to the kind of coverage we need to satisfy our requirements this year. All right, with that, I'll jump into the projection. I've included in this a detail overview of the 26 budget based on the 427 revision, and then the fiscal year 27 overview of the budget. This will be the basis for the state budget that's further down on the agenda. Just wanted to provide this to you as background color and detail. This assumes a successful refinance of our current indebtedness. So it's kind of an intrinsic part of this. It also assumes achieving 858 students in enrollment, or at least 823 ADM out the door. So with that said, once it's time for the state budget presentation, I'll show you kind of how to correlate these two figures together because the state budget isn't presented in this format. Victoria, Brian, is there anything you'd like me to cover in more detail on the financial report?
No, I just always like to end at that back dashboard page.
Coming at you. Here we go.
That gives me a
So this
Check up on
0.71
it.
should be red. I don't know why that's green. It should be red. 1.25 should be green. So this fiscal year, again, it's a black eye, but it was known to us before we started the fiscal year. It was a challenge, and we made some very, very meaningful decisions to not go crazy and rock the boat, given the size of our balance sheet reserve. The reason the school is in this position is it's been a good steward over the last 10 plus years to amass liquidity that it can use to deal with situations precisely like this. And though we will violate loan agreement covenants, which is unfortunate, the school is in no means financially threatened. They have an excellent balance sheet and a lengthy runway to correct this and to build back enrollment without knee-jerk decisions that might affect the program integrity. So I think that was management's decision. I support that decision. It's not something we can do back-to-back years, but it certainly made sense under the conditions we were faced with going into 26.
So FY 27, we're projecting a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio. And a net income of 378,000 dollars. That's good.
Ordinary income of $803,000, Brian, the way that the authorizer would look at it, it's about 803,700. So solid income for 27. And the key part of that is the refinance of our indebtedness for sure. And the enrollment, obviously, the enrollment.
It's all in the enrollment.
Yeah, no pressure, yeah.
Everything else is pretty solid.
Yeah.
We follow a budget, good.
Yeah.
We have good systems.
We've made significant strides in those areas for sure. You guys have done a lot of work on that.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Mr. Bryce. Next, we will. Oh, right here. All right, Joel, you're up again. ADE proposed budget.
All right.
Packet. Looks like.
So I want to point out a couple of things because the state report is laid out in such a fashion that it is very difficult for your average reader to cross correlate. Is this even the same information that I'm looking at in the operating budget? So real quick primer on this, board members that may or may not know, we work with management throughout the entire year to formulate our operating budget, which is our true and actual intention. It's our financial plan for the upcoming year. We intend to execute this budget for fiscal year 2027 based on this enrollment level. Should we fall short of this, we'll make changes to our anticipated revenues and expenses to still keep that target performance in place. But this operating budget gets distilled down into the state format, which I'll show you momentarily. There's only a couple of places where you'll even be able to tell it's the same budget, unfortunately, because of the presentation. One of them is total revenues. So based on this enrollment of 823 ADM, which is the basis of your state budget, we're anticipating $10.538 million in some change. So as we look at the state proposed budget, which we're going to look at now, you'll see one place and one place only, that number shows up. It's on the cover page where it gives a breakdown of local, state, and federal revenues from programs, totaling $10.538 million in change. So that's one way you know that your operating budget is tied to the state budget is revenues match. The other place is at the end of expenses, before depreciation and amortization, right here, $9.734643 million. That appears on page 2, right down here at the bottom, second column to the right. This number includes all programs, local, state, and federal, from an expenditure standpoint. Other than that, it's difficult to tell where these numbers are coming from, but just know the state budget we're proposing here is identical to your current operating budget, which is revised throughout the year. Our intention is to not be required to revise the state budget because we achieve the minimum enrollment. Should we not, we'll be revising the state budget as needed throughout the year. Every time we revise our budget, we'll turn in a revision to the state as well. So with that, I'm going to go through the state budget real quick and hit on some highlights. The cover page, which is mine. Yes, sir.
So does this budget, we didn't get the state increases yet though, did we?
No, so one of the many reasons we're doing this a little bit out of sorts this year, they've not released the official state budget file because the legislature has not been able to pass a state budget. There's some infighting between the governor's office and the legislature at the moment that is not anticipated to resolve itself until later June. It's been that case for the last few years. Based on that, we are not certain of what the state increase will be for next fiscal year, but we have on pretty decent authority that it can be comprised of a 2% increase to base assistance and a 2% increase to additional assistance. We do have the go-to number for classroom site funds that will be $883 per pupil paid on the weighted student count. So we do have something to go on. Our normal practice for the operating budget is a little different, but go for it.
Okay, so but this doesn't include that, but our operating budget that we have would include that?
This includes that as well. This is a mirror image of your operating budget, which does include the 2% lift to state equalization and the classroom site funds. We're budgeting of late on the anticipated equalization
Oh.
versus the current year, like we used to do. It's been
Yeah.
necessary to make things work. So there's no
Okay.
holdback in this. This is the real. So this
I got you.
$10.5
Okay.
million is taken from your operating budget, and that does include that uplift in state equalization.
Okay.
Bottom right-hand corner of the page is probably where most of the public seems to interact with the budget, or at least pay attention. Certainly the press does. Average teacher compensation. This is a budgeted or forecasted number. It's based on a 3% increase to teaching staff. Yours may be higher, it may be slightly lower based on actual staff. The annual financial report that we file in October will contain actual numbers for 26. This is a budgeted or projected number for 27. We're anticipating against our last budget a 3% increase in average teacher compensation. And this is inclusive of all forms of compensation paid to teachers. So classroom site funds, additional duty stipends, regular comp, anything. Retention incentives, all of that is baked into that number for average teacher. And we, for the purposes of this, include a teacher as any classroom teacher without regard to the subject. Specials are included in there as well. Paras are not included in there. This page number 2 of the report, is a breakdown of they call school-wide expenditures. So this is expenditures from any local source, as well as state equalization and Prop 123. It's the vast majority of your spending activity. It's broken down by natural object from left to right at the top, or the type of expense it is, and then from top to bottom by function and program. So it's designed to support regular education down to special education and industrial programs like transportation in the descending order below that. Then 1,000, which is instruction, that's your biggest bucket of spending. That's direct instruction to pupils in the classroom or classroom environment. That's where that is made up. So we've broken down the anticipated expenses to line up with each of these presentations. So this total spending across even federal sources, which is on other pages being pulled forward here, $9.734 million there.
Oh, we reduced our spending almost 1%. That's good.
Yeah. This page gives you an overview of your federal program expenditure and then state grant expenditure. So the majority of this is federal, $1.118 million in federal program, Title I, IDEA, and National School Lunch. There's a little bit of E-rate in here too. These are your major programs, and then the rest of those are minors. And then the $69,000 is anticipated from the school safety program, which is a state level grant. We've budgeted a capital investment kitty of $325,000 for the upcoming year. That doesn't mean we're going to spend it. It doesn't mean we won't spend more, but that's currently in our cash plan for the 27 fiscal year. And it may creep, Brian, based on roofing and other things that we've discussed.
Yeah, we getting old.
Yeah. Spending from state and local sources on program 200 special education. This number right here is what we plan to spend from those sources. And it is larger than what we plan to spend in 26, meaning you've met your minimum maintenance of effort for special education. It's a key. This is our planned spending from instructional improvement right here. Maintain a 16:1 teacher to pupil ratio based on anticipated enrollment and an 8.8:1 ratio based on all staff to pupil. These numbers are low. It's definitely an opportunity for Paideia over time is to increase those. So we're ideally somewhere around 12 to 13:1 for all staff. And I would say we could target, because it's all teachers of any type, and 19:1 would be a great target there, including sped, specials, intervention, all that stuff. Anticipated audit services for a federal audit, total classroom spending, $4.899 million of direct spending in the classroom out of a $9.7 million budget. Not too shabby. Very little money going from state equalization to support your food service program. And then here's your debt service anticipated based on refinancing our indebtedness. This is interest only. There is no principal portion for the first 2 years based on our current plan of finance. That's what's helping us get kind of through the next 2 years and build back better, in fact. Classroom site funds expenditures, we're planning on being somewhat aggressive with classroom site funds next year to reduce the remaining carryover and fully expend monies received in fiscal year 27. Doesn't mean that we will, but we have a roadmap to do that by virtue of maintaining raises given in prior periods, many of them, as well as the performance bonuses that we provide to our instructional staff. Should those be achieved at somewhere around a 75 to 80% level on the bonus side, maintaining raises and bonus will more than spend everything we receive from classroom site funds in 27, which is a good place to be. No carryover means less restricted cash. We do not receive either of these funding sources, at least we didn't in the current fiscal year, so there's nothing budgeted there. This is your budget summary. It's a summary of everything we've just covered. Projected fund balance. Why is it so small? My goodness. So this is a new element they've added about 3 years ago. They want to get kind of an idea of where we're going to finish the year, what resources will be available, and what our planned usage of said resources is. So it walks you through from 25, the results of 26 to a balance that we're carrying into 27. And we're telling them that of the $4.739 million in total that's available to us, we think at the end of 26, we're not going to use any of it to support a deficit balance or any other kind of capital expenditure in the upcoming year. In other words, we're going to maintain it for future use, which is also a good place to be, given the fact that we just took a loss in 26. We want to maintain what we've got through 27. That is the totality of the state budget. I know that was a lot of talking. So let me know if you've got any questions. I'm happy to go back and cover anything in more detail.
Gonna make sure I get it signed because I sometimes I forget.
That's that cover page. Yep, exactly. Sign this one. FYI, Brian, what we're talking from a housekeeping perspective, RIA is the school official along with Victoria.
I love it. Very good. Any questions for Mr. Bryce on this?
Hey, Joel, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Does our projected DSCR affect our ability to refinance those bonds or the terms under which we're expecting to refinance them?
Great question, Ben. Yeah, typically it's going to have an effect on that. I think the biggest effect for us is failing this year's performance. I'd like to say we had done this a year ago. I think we could have easily achieved an investment grade rating and been paying significantly less for cost of funds. I don't think it will be in the way, based on the performance historically of Paideia, the worthiness of the balance sheet, the operation of the credit in general. We'll get it done. It's not going to be investment grade. I'm pretty confident in that, but it should fall just a little bit under that, still in the very, very favorable category. I know that there's been interest expressed from current bondholders in doing round two all in. So I think we should have a pretty clear path. But yes, that is always a conversation. If we don't make that number and then ask to refinance, they want to have a deeper discussion.
Their discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Winder?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Yes. Mrs. Rodriguez, yes. Mrs. Chooser here. Dr. Tejan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lepage?
Yes.
Unanimous of the board members present. All right, next item 6 is closed campus policy. Mrs. Jones, do you want to give a little bit of the background of this?
So we, this is our second year that we've offering the concurrent enrollment at South Mountain College. And we noticed that we ran into to some logistical things around, uh, students being at school, or where, you know, if they're at this school, are they allowed to leave and go to the other school? Are they allowed to go on their own? What's allowed, you know, so we.
Or can they leave here saying they're going to the
Yeah.
South Mountain?
And so we need to, because we do have a high school here, and so we need to have a policy around this and a closed campus policy to keep our scholars safe and to ensure that everyone knows where they're supposed to be. So this initial policy is written for grades 7 through 12. We can have a discussion whether it should include both campuses. But there's a component directly related to South Mountain Community College, and we want to say concurrent enrollment, not dual.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Concurrent enrollment, because South Mountain Community College is, when they're at school there, it is an extension of this campus. So the expectations are the same on campus there. So they should only attend their classes. They need to be on campus, follow the directions of that staff, and comply with Paideia code of conduct, as well as South Mountain Community College rules. They do sign something to this effect when they sign up to go to class over there, but we just felt like we needed to make sure that there's a very clear policy on it. Then leaving campus without permission, ensuring that this, and everywhere where it says dual enrollment, just make that clear. And so we sort of felt the need to go ahead and clarify what does it mean to leave without permission. All of these things qualify leaving class without permission, or leaving school without permission. Parent and guardian released during the school day, they can only be released through the approved Paideia checkout procedure by a parent or a guardian. Lunch and food delivery. That we have a closed campus during lunch as well. We're not a lunch campus, so they cannot leave to purchase food or drinks. And food delivery services also, we can't order some food delivery services. And again, just spelling out the policy. We have these rules in place, but spelling out the policy. And then we got some of the authorized exceptions to any of this policy. Ways that they can authorize installer to leave campus. The transportation plan, emergency opposite situations.
As I was reviewing this, I went into the elementary's parent handbook and everything. There's nothing in there that explicitly says you can't leave campus. And there's nothing in there that specifically says you can't order Grubhub or, you know, something coming in. So I thought, well, here's one policy. If we just had it for our whole K-12, then there is this part with South Mountain Community College that would be inserted in here for specifically that purpose.
I think it covers everything because it says, you know, scholar may not leave a Paideia campus or South Mountain Community College or any Paideia sponsored location.
Yeah, I think part of it authorized somewhere it says even field trips.
Well, that's a school sponsored, Paideia sponsored.
Yeah, where's that list?
Those two locations under parent guardian release restrictions.
Yeah.
So if scholars are in the South Mountain College program and they drive, are they allowed to drive themselves over there, or are they always bused over there, no matter what grade they're in?
We did have some students.
Is that, like, according to this, like, is that allowed? Or are they not gonna be allowed to do that? Or they have to be?
Well, I think that, again, that might even be another, because We do have a policy on vehicles though. So if they've already been through the process of being approved to have a vehicle.
They cannot drive another person with them.
That kind of creates another layer
Yeah,
to
it's
this.
not a liar.
That's probably good. Authorizing a session, especially if you have a low student count. Less. They can ask for a section. You probably need to be ready to have a vehicle on
Right.
campus. It's first layer. Again. You have a separate policy that they agree to. This set of rules that you haven't signed. Like their own driving.
They can only drive to sometimes. They're not saying, hey, I'm gonna get in my car and go have lunch.
And if they can't have anyone else or any other students. come to them. Spell it out.
Yeah, and having them sign up on it explicitly.
Yeah, they give them, you know. He say if like they get in an accident right there, is that? Idea? Is that you know what I mean? It's always that question, like even at work, we
Liability.
say if you're going to a work site and you're on the clock and something happens. Now your job's responsible, right? But if you're going to lunch, you need to clock out. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's a personal thing, but I don't, like with the school being liable for
Mhm.
a
Driving back and
minor
forth,
driving. But I know there are. Yeah, there beforehand. I mean, would the, I don't know if it'd be popular, but would the easier thing be to say you just can't drive your own vehicle, you have to be transported by Paideia? I mean, either way, we're transporting, right? So.
Yeah, once you drive to school and you enter this campus, you can't leave without the authorized, without being authorized to leave, whether it's being transported to South Mountain Community College or a parent comes in.
Yeah, because it's also not going to always be guaranteed that Paideia will take everyone there. It might be that their parents are taking them there at some point.
Oh,
Is that because there'll be too many to take in the van or?
Potentially, I mean, I'm just saying that that's not I'm not saying there's a change on that right
Right.
now, I'm just making a
Thinking
statement that,
future,
yeah. It, I mean, that's not necessarily 100% set in stone.
Got it.
It will always be that way. Unless we have, yeah, we might have to make like 2 runs or then
Right.
there would have to be someone designated to be able to do that.
dedicated driver.
Yeah,
Or if like, maybe you have your juniors and seniors who are driving their own vehicles, and that kind of helps eliminate those extra trips too, that'd be nice, so.
if they were
Responsible.
allowed to do so, yeah, so it's kind of something else. It does add like a whole other layer.
I open the thing.
I think it makes sense that it be, like, for right now, we have a very small number of students and maybe 1, 2.
That even have
Drive to school, yeah.
Yeah, then you need to get I would think, you need to get a printed pass, right, like laminated,
Yes.
it's green if you're allowed to leave the campus on the,
Or,
on
yeah,
the, on the van, but it's yellow if you're allowed to drive yourself to SMCC only, and it
Yeah.
says that on the pass.
Yeah, pass to drive to South Mountain.
And another, a big part of it, I mean, is just trust, right? And at that age, you got, I don't know. They're trustworthy.
Yeah, it's not, the baseline is a horrific driving space.
yeah.
So it's not only, it's not only Susan, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
the best intentioned driver.
Yeah.
Gets T-boned on the road.
Yeah.
And coming back and taking a left turn.
We would prefer that they
Yeah, I just say, you know what?
Yeah.
If there's some experience.
Every year, there's traumatic stories,
Yeah.
children dying. But
The parents definitely have to sign
I
off
hold
on
off on that as long as possible.
I would definitely prefer that they just go with,
Right.
Then they have to be brought back to campus.
yeah. that's what we-
Sort of now.
So for the ones that, like I know some of the seniors, they didn't even have any classes here this year. They're like almost always on Zone Mountain. Were they coming here, checking in and then going? Oh,
And then always, and then they come back and they work on their coursework. And still their crew, they have,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
they're counted as any scholars.
maybe for this year, at least when you guys want to.
Yeah, for the still good policies.
Is that something they added?
It says an exception. Or do you need to add it?
No, I think, well,
This is may include.
They include, yeah. Okay.
One thing that will change probably then is the food delivery, because I know food gets delivered to PTA. My son told me one of his friends had McDonald's today, so.
well, it might have been a mom. It might have been a mom.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, it might have been a mom bringing the
but I
food.
do sometimes see the bags at the counter, like, you know.
We gotta shut that down, because that is an absolute policy. If a Lyft driver, or somebody brings it, says, no,
Okay,
sorry.
not sure that's.
Yeah.
That hurts.
It-
Yeah.
And at the elementary campus too, that's just so disruptive.
Yeah, it takes away from the staff.
Yeah. All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the closed campus policy with the amendment that it includes K through 12 and changing the dual to concurrent. All right.
Windsor,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Rodriguez, yes, Mrs. Tudor here, Dr. Teachin,
Yes.
Mrs. Sauvage, yes.
All right, item 8, I'm notifying everyone officially of my resignation as a member of the board, as president, chief executive officer, and executive, which means executive officer, and an employee of Paideia Academies, effective June 30th, 2026. They discussed it over.
I'm sorry, I read discussion, so. That's denied.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, and I've loved it, and especially, you know, been our relationship for years, been so appreciative. Victoria, anyway, there, check the box, it's on the agenda, I've notified. All right, item 8. I want to nominate and have a vote as Victoria Jones as the president, chief executive officer, and executive director of Paideia Academy, effective close of business on June 30th, 2026. And there's some information here. Because the bylaws of the school provide that we should consist of 5 members. We should discuss and vote on approving effective July 1st, the nomination, blah, 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 blah. We'll have to also negotiate and complete our new employment agreement. And you guys could officially approve that, the employment agreement at your annual meeting. And also, as far as thinking through, I'm also the chair right now, but under our bylaws, when there's no one that stepped up to be chair, the executive director acts as the board chair. If there's no one formally elected. Discussion.
I feel like you're throwing a lot at somebody right now.
Well, Victoria and I meet at least once a week. And for at least an hour, you know. And so over the last year, every week, coaching and, you know, easing her into this role. And another positive is next year, she's gonna have a assistant, Alexa, who will take on a lot of the stuff that I was doing that I should have been doing. So to free her up to really learn and grow and focus on what matters most. Stewardship. I'm calling. I mean, look at today. I haven't really been here for a year. And today was just operating. It's just so beautiful. Walked around campus and everything was happening. Oh, you're here? Who's that guy? Oh, Dr. Windsor.
Nobody said who's that guy.
Unless they were joking, he was like, "Oh."
Right.
So, how you doing? You? Accepted?
Well, I will say that, so throughout the year, I just want everyone to know, I have been working with Dr. Windsor throughout this year as Executive Director of Education, learning, alongside him. He's a great mentor and teacher. And so I appreciate the opportunity to get a better view of what this position really is and the huge responsibility for us. There's no way to ever possibly fill Dr. Windsor's shoes. It's just that's not even the goal.
It's not the goal,
That's not
right?
the goal.
And that's I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
The goal isn't the goal is a new era. We've spoken about it. It's the new era. It's Victoria's. It's the new push. I've taken it as a founder as far as I could go.
But we are remaining true
Yeah.
to Paideia and all of the systems and the culture and everything that's been established since 2012. Our job now is to continue that. We're not trying to dismantle or I understand what you mean by new era, but we're not. It's a continuation of what's been working for us, and that's made us the school that we are.
Have you been thinking about what you would change?
Yes. And I think there is natural change, because there's also a lot of people, with new people, there's new ideas, opportunities for new ideas, new generation. And I think all of the new ideas that we have our main question is always, does it align with our mission? Does it keep us on track and on course with our mission? We can do new things in alignment with our mission.
One of the changes that Victoria brought this year was a focus on, and this really was Victoria, our continuous improvement focus of authentic relationships, rigor and support. That was all Victoria. And then her team. I think this year there's been some morphing, some growth that's taken the foundation, just bringing it to life. So I'll entertain a motion to accept Victoria Jones as new president, CEO, and all that stuff.
I think this is, sorry, I'm such a stickler, but it's a nomination process.
It is.
You nominate and you have a second for nomination, and then we vote to elect.
Okay, I nominate. Thank you. That's your success. Nominate Mrs. Victoria Jones as all these things that's inside of the agenda item. Second. Oh, no, you made the nomination. Oh, I made the nomination because I brought it. Okay. Yes.
Did you vote for yourself?
I'm not,
No.
I probably should be using myself.
Okay. Mrs. Rodriguez, yes. Mrs. Chu not here after teaching.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Covey.
Yes.
Okay. Which brings us to the next one. So you have the, I can't even present this item. Mr. Bryce, you still there? We are on items 4. Doesn't feel like you should be there.
I am still here.
Item 7, my Roman numerals got right down. You're just on this one. I think you're correct on this guy here. Yeah, item 7, No, I did my notification. We're on item 9.
It was 9 earlier.
Okay. Item 9, Mrs. Jones, I'll take this one.
Okay, does everyone have the
Agreement.
I should have one as well.
Okay, so this is a proposal for a one-year consulting agreement with Windsor Educational Services. Through which Dr. Windsor would provide a transition services, consulting services to the school and to myself as executive director in consultation and mentoring myself. So this is the contract that we received to review. And Joel, did you want to kind of walk us through our is this a good time for the discussion of this contract?
If I could offer a recommendation as to how you might go about it, I think having Dr. Windsor present his proposal and contract might be helpful. So the board gains a deep understanding of what he's thinking and maybe hear from you in regard to that. And then we can pivot into deeper discussion without Dr. Windsor, if at all possible.
Then you're going over to Exhibit A, scope of work.
Yeah, whatever you want to cover, like you're pitching us cold.
And Ben, I'm really, have you looked at this at all?
Just now.
Okay.
I don't think it was attached. Oh, you did send it? Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I was just looking for the.
So,
Oh, she did, okay.
basically, it's an employment agreement that keeps me out of any decision-making role. It's all advise, it's all mentor, it's all, I think I put the oversight on that. It really is just a coaching, advising, mentoring agreement between me and Paideia Academy. There is one place that we might want to look at. That is section number 10. It's a prior works declaration. And when I first started consulting in 2004, I think it was, I started to develop 2 programs that were very dear to me. It was a Success Guide program and a Skill Builder program. These 2 programs predate any even notion of having a charter school. So what I want to do is keep those as my intellectual property as prior works. 10.2, subject to the terms of this agreement, contractor, I grant Paideia Academies a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, revocable license to utilize my prior works solely for internal educational purposes. The license is contingent upon the status of this contractor agreement and automatically terminates upon the expirations or termination of our relationship, unless otherwise agreed upon in a formal writing signed by both parties. So what I mean by that is, I want to protect and coach those 2 programs, and I want to use them if I have some more clients out there that I care about, want to work with. The other intent with these 2 programs is I don't want them to become something else that you can keep the name. I don't want to become a glorified home no program or some punitive program. It's got to stay with the fidelity by which I created them. And Misan, she's very good at that. So do you see any problem with that? I'm not asking for money, I'm not asking for anything except just I want to help them say yay or nay. Or at the end of our relationship, I can say, yeah, go forward, man. This is a great program. Drive on. but it's not about mine.
Yeah, it's fine the way it's drafted, as long as the school understands that we may lose access to the programs if we lose access to documents. So there has to be a separate agreement executed to allow ongoing use.
Right.
So I don't know how ingrained those programs are to the operations here, but if they are extremely critical, then we note this as a risk factor is potentially losing the access to them. You know, 1 year from now or whenever this really terminates.
Or unless otherwise agreed upon.
Yeah.
But as for the structure, like, are they Dr. Windsor's separate property? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And we're codifying that by agreeing they're not close.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think they're highly critical. I think Paideia would be Paideia without them.
Yeah.
It is a sub thing that,
I think so too, but they're excellent programs, but we want to use, for as long as we're able to use them, and as long as we are using them, you know, of course, using them with fidelity, but they're not programs that are going to make or break our program.
no, no, not even close. So in the, in Exhibit A is the scope of work that I want to engage in primarily with Victoria. Just executive mentorship, advisory support through Victoria, professional development through Victoria, that if she says, hey, I'd like you to coach up the new principal, or I'd like you to provide some professional development for a group of teachers, I'll do it through Victoria. I want to engage in some strategic planning, vision stewardship support. I want to support the bond management and some financial oversight support of that. Governance and open meeting law compliance. And a lot of these came.
Okay,
Yes,
now.
this is the second document.
Yeah, that's not the official document.
No.
That's just the working draft. The official one we're gonna sign is this one, but you certainly can't look at that one. It's not secret. It's not the, yeah,
I printed it just as a,
Yeah,
if you want to see.
yeah, that's fine. And this also came to be after a lot of discussion back and forth with Victoria, like, what do you need? What do you think you're gonna need? It also came right out of the executive director's SOP. There's sections inside there. Board development support. Because the induction process of new board members is highly compliance oriented. So I want to just be there to walk people through that. Assistance and preparation of the assistance with preparation of board resolutions, policies, budget, academic, all these operational stuff that I know how to do. I'm just going to assist with it. And any government relations, compliance, oversight support. That's pretty much the intent.
So emphasizing advisory and support
Mentoring.
in these areas.
There is a deliverable that we're going to add from our consultation with Joel. The deliverables, so we want to quantify that. So we're going to put 25 hours a month as an approximate.
Yes.
And you had a sentence in your documents, didn't you, Joel? Yeah, a sentence here.
For the,
I provided some
hour.
recommendations on that. Yeah, it doesn't mean the board needs to take those, but I just gave some verbiage in case they wanted some clarification.
Right now, I'm totally speaking as Windsor Education Service. Okay, so clarify.
well, so a defined monthly service expectation of up to approximately 25 hours per month in terms of deliverable. In order to add to a quantifiable measure of deliverables.
And why is that important, Joel and Victoria? Just so we understand.
I can speak to it. Joel, please add,
It's probably
and
fair.
make sure fair market value. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Yeah. First, we need to find.
No, that was being sentence to add. into the
Yes.
thing.
Can we just say that sentence I just said?
Yeah, I think that's-
I just find, okay, to include or,
Are you looking for, like a
Okay.
prescribed report or something that you would submit or?
No, just to define the number of hours.
it's hours, I guess. So here it says a defined monthly service expectation. I'm trying to think of how to begin that sentence, but of up to approximately 25 hours per month or up to 25 hours per month.
Oh, sorry, define, I like that.
Defined monthly service expectation. Of up to approximately 25 hours per month. It says or equivalent measurable deliverables, but I think I feel that these are
Yeah.
measurable deliverables already listed here, and this is the quantity, this is quantifying those deliverables.
I also added, exhibit B on the back, that is a declaration of independent business status, just to further make sure, well, through Ellis, make sure that I'm an independent business. I'm not, I don't speak for Paideia, can't sign anything.
You have a entity set up as funds or educational services?
I do,
Yeah, so is it LLC?
just sole prop.
Arizona?
Alabama.
Super. For education services, and Alabama sole proprietorship.
Okay.
Oh, that's true. It's not, oh, no, you are. Where are you at now?
Definition of contractor.
So, okay, hold on, Here. yeah. I need to cross this out, it's added here. Yes.
Just like you have, like the Arizona nonprofit corporation.
Educational services and Alabama sole proprietorship.
Oh, I see. Just take period off and Alabama.
Yeah, we'll go before the parentheses contract.
Okay.
No, that's just like that. Well, but we don't sign it tonight, so I'll get all this as amended,
Yeah,
and then I'll sign it, and send it over to the recording. I'll sign it. Yeah. Well, proprietorship, is that what I heard you say?
proprietorship.
Question of have we reviewed whether the budget accounts for this? Which I would imagine it's in just fine, given.
The budget currently has a larger amount in there, Ben, than this contract value. Is it assumed him as an employee? Yeah, he left money on the table, sorry.
But Joel, you did a market
Yes.
study, right?
Yeah, we did a fair market value assessment to provide to the governing board for their information, basically, and they can choose to use that or not. But we did find this to be comparable and substantially approvable in its current form with the amendments you guys have just discussed. There's only one comp available. I don't know, Victoria, that report I just launched it today to you guys. I apologize, it was way late. But what you've just discussed were the finer points of what we determined probably needed to be discussed in more detail. And as amended, it's very easy to back up.
Yeah, I think with the addition of the quantifiable deliverables, it helps to bring it to, like you said, the fair market value. Our budget is, realized in our budget, so.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, and I will say it is in Paideia's best interest that we engage in a mentorship, that I engage in a mentorship with an advisory from Dr. Windsor to ensure that this transition is smooth and good for Paideia.
Yeah.
If I might add there, Victoria, that could be part of the motion, that exact phrase. The board has deemed it to be in Paideia's best interest to sign off on this contract. I think that's a key part of it. Once you do make your motion, that's helpful.
No, is there a discussion?
So I would move to adopt comma in the, as determined by the board to be in the best interest of the corporation. The independent contractor agreement as amended.
Abstain.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Rodriguez, yes. Mrs. Shu, not here. Dr. Teachin,
Yes.
Mrs. Paideia.
Yes.
Want to have this go into effect before the 1st of July, we need to powers Mrs. Garrison, Mrs. Jones. That's to execute. So you already have authority to execute because you don't take the executive director role until
That's true.
1st of July.
And this actually is the 1st of July, it'll become
I
executed.
think if you sign it and saying it is effective first, that would be.
Okay, effective the first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Item 10. Item 10. I'm informing you that we need to have another quick board meeting this week. It'll last 10 minutes because our bond council will have its resolution done. Saying that Victoria has the authority to sign bond documents. So I made a copy, and I'm on item 10 that says why we can discuss this stuff.
So one pager.
The one pager, name Fernandez. So I need to give 24 hours of open meeting law notice to the public. It really doesn't need, I love her lots, but I can give you. So this will actually, your resolution, at this, give her signing authority to sign it. Does it? Let me see.
And all transaction documents just defined as.
Authorized representative of the corporation, item 1. Oh, and item 2, the financial bond meeting. Definition of transaction. Yeah, that's item 2. Okay, so review this, when, we just need 10 minutes. Or, let me see which date I should do. This is Monday, so I need, if I post the meeting notes tonight, we could have it on Wednesday, any time during.
I have a question. Why do we have to have a separate meeting for why?
Oh, because it's not on the agenda, so it's not on the agenda, we can't, so. Really discuss it, except for our agenda is big.
Okay.
Future.
Good question.
Wednesday,
Push everything into this.
Yes, ma'am. Well, the bond transactions are also.
Yeah, we got 8:30
On Wednesday.
So.
Oh, well, this is 10 minutes during the day, and we.
Oh, you're right.
I'm actually off, so I'm dropping Bella off, so I'll be here.
I'll Zoom.
yeah, I'll have to be virtual, but I have some days open. Before now, so 8 a.m., 10 a.m.
Oh, that's what we're meeting. So anytime between 10 and 3. Probably,
Make sure it's not during pickup.
I say
I
10.
say 10.
Oh, wait a second.
Wednesday's
I
very busy
got
day.
a kindergarten promotion for April.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
8:30 to 10:30, 2 hours?
That's a long time. That's true.
That's longer than the high school graduation.
That's long.
Well, no, I'm speaking, so.
About
Kindergarten.
11, is that too soon?
11 o'clock, that sounds good, all right.
Get on your phone.
11:30.
I almost forgot about Max.
All right, 11 o'clock, I'll send a meeting notice tonight to make sure I get that timer ticking.
You leaving the time and sign anything? Right now?
No, what did we say on the back? Oh, I can sign it. I can sign it as the board chair.
Okay, perfect.
I just need to have the.
So we just need to get on and vote.
And vote.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then I'll send it immediately over to Dane and he'll be happy.
all right.
All right, item 11, I think.
One future.
No, well.
Any other surprises?
Not that I know of.
Have a June meeting?
Joel, do we need to have a June meeting?
We've approved the state proposed budget. We can do at the July meeting as long as it's before the 15th of July. We can do our adopted budget meeting in July, in early July. So we wouldn't need a June meeting with the exception of anything requiring under the bond financing if there is something that changes.
I would say let's go to July. Everybody okay with that?
But it has to be before the 15th.
For the 15th?
Yep. Before or on the 15th, the board has to approve the proposed or the adopted budget.
That would be a
So the
So
13th.
July 13th is Monday.
Okay, so July 13th, that evening, Joel, I'll send out the meeting notice.
Okay.
Will be our. Budget. Okay, very good.
Will you circulate it for the?
I'll just put it right in the meeting notes. All right, item 11, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will motion for them.
Second.
Oh, that's it. I mean, you're all.
No.
I'm sorry.
Just all in favor.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you, Joel.
Joel.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Good to see you. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you.